So we talked about sine law. And remember I said to use sine law, you need to know an angle and its opposite side in order to set up the formula. Sometimes you have to find the angle first by doing 180 minus the two other angles before you set up sine law, but it's always, you have to know a side and its angle opposite. If you don't, like this, like I only know one angle here. I don't know what this side is, I'm trying to find it. I know what these two sides are, but there's no way I can find angles A and C. So another formula was developed called the cosine law. And the cosine law looks like this. If you want to find a side, so let's say I want to find little a. Little a squared is going to equal the other two sides squared added together minus 2 times those two other sides together times the cos of the angle opposite little a, the side we're trying to find. Looks complicated, but you'll be able to figure it out. And of course, you get the formula anyway. That's the cosine law. So that would be to find a squared. So what you would have to do is if you're given b and c and angle a, you plug all this in, you calculate it, and you take the square root at the end. If, let's say, I wanted to find b, we could use a variation. What do you think you do to find b squared? Look at the pattern.
A squared plus c squared.
A squared plus c squared minus 2ac cos angle b, yeah. And then you could do the same thing to find c squared. It would be a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos c. Okay, so I won't write that line. And there's really two cases where you use cosine law. If you know two sides and the angle between them, and you're asked to find the third side, you have to use cosine law. If you're given all three sides and asked to find one of the angles, you have to use cosine. Otherwise, it's sine law. So let's just do a couple of examples. Take this one and let's actually find b. So using some cosine law, b squared is going to equal one of the other sides squared plus the other side squared, or the third side squared, minus 2 times those sides together times the cos of the angle opposite little b. And then it's just a calculation using order of operations. So I could make it simpler, b squared, well, 5 squared is 25, 11 squared is 121. So if I add those two together, I get 146. And then if I multiply all these together, and all round to the nearest 10, I'll get approximately 46.5. You can do, I would suggest maybe do these separately and then subtract them after. It's possible to do it all in one shot, but you're going to have to use parentheses on your calculator, and that can get a little tricky. Anyway, when I subtract these, I get 99.5. So to find b, I got to take the square root of 99.5. and I'm asked to round to the nearest whole number, and that's going to be approximately 10. That's it. Okay. Let's look at the other example where we use cosine law. And this is where you're asked to find an angle. So notice here you're given there's no way you can use sine law because you need an angle to use sine law, but we can't use cos. And there's a different formula, a variation of the cosine law formula that allows us to find an angle. And it looks like this. So if I wanted to find the cos of angle A, okay, I would take the other two sides opposite, or sorry, the other two sides from little a, b squared plus c squared, minus the side opposite angle A squared, divides, sorry, I got this right, 2 times these other two sides. So notice which side goes in the minus or after the minus? The one that's opposite the angle line. You will be given this formula as well. Okay. So really cosine law is just a matter of plugging in correctly and calculating properly. So in this example, cosine of A, well, I have to take the other two sides besides little a. So little a is 15, so that means I'm going to do 11 squared plus 18 squared. Yeah.
Are we supposed to be finding C though?
Oh, sorry. Okay. So let's do this. I'm still going to leave this. So now this is little c, this is little b, this is little a, so I'm going to go 11 squared plus 15 squared. I'm going to square those sides that are not opposite to angle C and add them together. Then I am going to subtract the side opposite angle C squared. Two times the other sides besides little c multiplied by each other. Can you just simplify the top, simplify the bottom? So you get cos C, if you do 11 squared plus 15 squared and then subtract 18 squared, you get 22. On the bottom, you'll get 330. So how would I find C? Cos inverse. Those cancel. So just take the cos inverse of 22, divide 330, nearest degree or nearest whole number, and you should get 86 degrees. Okay, the next page is just a proof of the cosine law. Cosine law is kind of a combination of trig and Pythagoras. And you can kind of see that in the formula. Where we're squaring the sides and adding them together. Okay? So the last example. Word problems using sine law and cosine law. This one's obviously going to use cosine law. And you will get This one's a little challenging because you don't have a diagram with it, but normally you will get a diagram with it. So we're going to have to figure out what the diagram looks like first. So at the Steinbach Golf Club, the shortest distance from the tee to the 8-hole pin is 348 meters. So let's do that. So we put the tee down here. We put the pin up here. Like so. Very nice. You like that? Thank you very much. Feel like I could use a little bit more color. So I'm just going to spend some time on this. Okay. So we know the distance from here to here is 348 meters. So Herman hits the ball so that it lands 195 meters from the tee. However, he slices the ball. Do you know what a slice is in golf? If you're right-handed, a slice means you don't hit it straight, you hit it off to the right. If you're left-handed, you don't hit it straight, you hit it off to the left. So he hit it, let's assume he's right-handed, he hit it off here somewhere. His ball landed somewhere around here. So that these 195, or sorry, not from the tee, not from the pin, from the tee. This is 195. And the angle between if you hit it straight and when you hit it off to the right is 12 degrees. So here's this ball, here's the pin. I have to find that. That's what I'm asked to find. So see if you can do that. You should be able to follow it through. We're given two sides, the angle between them. That means we're going to use cosine law. So how would you set it up? So the side we want to find, we put it by itself square. That's going to equal. Now we take the other two sides, square them and add them together. Then we subtract 2 times those other two sides multiplied by each other. And also times the cos of the angle opposite the side we're trying to find. So that's how it should look when you set it up. And then we can do these together, we can do these together, and then subtract the results. So 348 squared plus 195 squared gives us 159,029 minus 2 times 348 times 195 times cos 12. And if we just round that again to one decimal place, we get 132,754.2. Subtract those two. We should get d squared is equal to 26,000. 374.8. And then to find D, you can just take the square root of both sides. And it should work out. We said nearest meter. $162 meters. I don't know if there's a tangent law or not, but we're not going to be doing it anyway, so just sine and cosine law. Okay.